You can see where you can just futz with this stuff all day long. I took a look, and the first thing I thought was, I hate it. You just gotta try stuff. That's the best way to learn. Doesn't mean it's gonna be perfect. I'm very excited about this season's container display for my patio. I picked a color theme I absolutely love. A deep, moody purple with a rust-colored accent. I found out that I can use lime wash paint to change ordinary orange terracotta pots into my favorite charcoal gray color without spending a fortune. Orange terracotta would have made the whole display look a little gaudy, too much orange competing with my rust-colored plants. So I painted the pots, I bought the plants, and I was ready. I went outside and started arranging my pots, and when I stepped back after spending quite a bit of time arranging things, I took a look, and the first thing I thought was, I hate it. I just sat there looking at that awful container display. The wind was starting to pick up, and I was running out of time. I planned to take another stab at arranging the containers when all of a sudden there was a huge wind that seemed like it would blow everything off the patio. I ran inside just in time, and the next thing I saw was the Japanese maple tree blown over onto its side on the patio. Well, that was a wrap. All right, so the last time that we met, we were here on the patio. I had arranged these containers onto our patio shelf, and I really wasn't excited about the way that everything looked. And so what I did was I took a picture and did a little bit of research, and I think I figured out something that can definitely help this display look better. And when I actually took a picture of what I had and what I really didn't like, I kind of learned something new, and I wanted to share it with you. I'm thinking that like interior designers have to have some ways of helping us to design a container display, because essentially what we're doing is we're trying to style some containers onto a shelf. And lo and behold, of course, interior designers have a little thing that they call the triangular rule. And I think it's going to help us. One of the things that was suggested is to take a picture of what it is that isn't working, and it gives you a chance to really analyze it. And you know what? When I did that with the display that I had earlier that I didn't like, sure enough, let me show you. All right, so here's the photograph that I took. And when I looked at it with the idea, you know, I had read some information and I had stumbled upon this triangle rule, which essentially says, you know, if you're styling a fireplace mantle or a bookcase or even a display in a retail space, that, you know, you can take 3 points to form a frame and then, you know, use those 3 points for objects that you want to capture your attention. And the first thing that I noticed, you know, as opposed to like just lining everything up, and the first thing I noticed is that like these flowers here, which are really a focal point, I inadvertently just have them all lined up here. Now I do have more of a triangle shape here for the coleus, but you can see here, this is like a really bright color and your eye is attracted to these flowers, and they're essentially just kind of sitting in a straight line. So after I looked at that, I thought, you know what, this whole idea of kind of creating these triangular focal points, and again, where the higher things are in the back, I think maybe that's going to help make this display better. And so that's what we're going to try today. What I want to do today is just set up the tripod and start using this triangular principle, set up some pots onto the shelf, and see if I can come up with a display that I like better. All right, since in the photograph, I know from, you know, the photograph that I took, let's look at this again so we can remind ourselves of what we are starting with. So what I noticed right away was that these plants were all in a line. So I'm going to start first with just putting those plants into more of a triangular shape, and we'll kind of use that as our guide and go from there. I'm just going to start off by putting these kind of on different patches. Now, I know that these plants are going to get bigger. That's kind of another thing that I wanted to talk about is, this is real life. So these plants are not fully grown, fully developed. This is going to fill out and get a lot bigger. And so like right now, to really attract attention, I feel like I might need to put both of these together, where as opposed to like when this fills out more and really you can see more of the bright color, it might be able to stand on its own more. But for the time being, I'm just going to at least put them on, separate them, not have them on the same level here. So we'll just start with that. And then I want to fill in with some of these heuchera, this deep color here. I just love this dark color purple. Let me get another one with dark purple. This is a canna that is going to have a real bright orange flower. For the time being, I think I'll put that over here for right now. And then try to get another heuchera in the back here, so it is a brighter color. I need to get a proper pot for this, but for this display for right now, I'm just going to keep it in the dark pot. And so if I've got this, I want to have I'm thinking put a heuchera there and another heuchera there, or at least have that dark purple color. So, we can put that here. And then I've also got this dahlia that has this dark purple color that can, kind of form that triangle. I'm not an expert, but I feel like trying to use this idea of the triangle shape might help me set this display up a little bit better. So now I'm just stepping back and I'm looking at this. I definitely, these colors are really jumping out at me for sure, these orange colors. So I now want to play around with these coleus and get like another bright color up here to complete that, kind of triangle shape with the bright colors. So let's see here if we put that there. And then another one here so that we get a big collection of them. And, when I was reading the advice from the interior designers, they said, make sure that you're grouping things together in big groups so that they really attract your eye. So that, I think, looks pretty good there. This is a little bit different color, so I'm going to just keep this the same color, and then I can use this as a way to attract maybe on this side again. Again, kind of like trying to do a triangle. Here. We'll just try that for right now. I might move that around in a second here, depending on what it looks like. Again, I still need to get a couple more pots painted up, but for the purpose of what we're doing today, I think this will work just fine. So when I step back, I'm looking at this area here, and I feel like we can put some darker colors in here. And I'm thinking I've got this great deep purple potato vine, which I really do like. And the thing I like about this next to the coleus is that it's got a different texture. So that's kind of cool. So let me try that and see if I can also put in some of these dark colored petunias here. Those might work out pretty good here. I definitely, looking at this display, feel like if I had this plant here, that if I had, you know, another grouping of that plant here, that would look kind of neat. I don't have that right now, but what I do have is still some leftovers from my spring display, which are these sassafras. So let's see if I can put those up here. Now, one of the things that I did learn is that I think I could have actually made this shelf a tiny bit wider for each shelf, but I didn't expect I was going to be using pots that were quite as big. So just something I was thinking about the other day. So if I have that there, I can put a third one, because I do have 3 of them. Kind of put that down here. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, now I did pull the camera back a tiny bit, because one of the things I neglected to mention is that I am going to be using the space in front here as like the third tier of this display. So for right now, I'm just going to put the kale down there. Substantial pot that I have for the front is this sedum. And the thing I like about these together is just the difference in the textures. I feel like this is I like this sedum a lot, especially in this big container bowl. Looks really quite pretty, I think. Now, I did buy another one of these plants. It's not exactly the same color, but I'm wondering if I put it over here, and again, it needs to go into a gray pot, stage it in for right now. I feel like that might be far enough away that that can complete our triangular shape, and that really does pick up the bright color of the coleus. All right, let's see if we move these around. Now, I do have some more things left over from the spring display, and now these are almost at the end of their season, but they still look so pretty, so I wanted to incorporate them here, and I think that I can do that by just sticking them in here. And, you know, eventually these will be removed because the blooms won't look as good, but they have been lasting for so long, and they're so pretty. I just love pansies, and you can see this gorgeous color really does look good, especially with that obsidian heuchera. All right, we also have these lantana plants here that we can group here in the front. And again, these will fill out, but they're such a pretty bright color there. I think these are going to be really pretty in the summertime. I'm just going to kind of put those together. Now, I do have this wonderful foliage plant, and it's got this great, it does pick up the rust color, and it looks great with the coleus, and it looks great with the kale. Kind of raise it on another pot. Let's try that. Step back and see what that looks like. I've got some really great plants here that I think I can add and create a triangular form this way. You can see where you can just futz with this stuff all day long. And again, you know what I think that this really proves is you just got to try stuff. That's the best way to learn. Doesn't mean it's going to be perfect, but already I am much happier with this display than when I started last week. So that is a good thing. And now that the sun is out, you can see it really is a nice, happy color scheme. So it's going to be fun to watch this all fill in and to see how it's going to look. So that's it for this video, friends. We'll see you in the next one.